Alright, fellas, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And in this video here, we're going to be talking about the movie American Assassin. I know I'm a little bit late with this. I think the movie came out a few months ago. But being a huge fan of the books, well, not really a huge fan. I mean, it's not my favorite military thriller novel out there, to be honest. But being a fan of the books, I've seen the movie, so I figured I'd make a little, review video talking about it. I'm not going to get too in depth with it like I normally do, so this video is probably not going to be like a half hour long. But I'm not going to just completely rant about how the movie is different from the books. I'm not going to do that either, because I know it's a separate medium and the movie has a lot of flaws, I guess, when you try to compare the two, whereas the book has more time to flesh things out. The movie only has like an hour and 50 minutes. So far, when the movie came out, I didn't really see it. I read a couple reviews about it and people were just saying the same thing, that the movie was kind of bland. It was decent, but it didn't hit that high mark. And I think after seeing the movie for myself, that's pretty much the main problem of the movie. Not necessarily a problem, it's just you have to taper your expectations. And what I mean by that is the audience or people in general are rather comfortable with watching action movies now. So in the wake of, let's say, like Jason Bourne's movie franchise or like James Bond's franchise, people have a certain expectation when it comes to these super badass, super spy movies, And with this one, it feels like they tried to make like a Jason Bourne-esque movie, just not as visceral, and knock off like $15 million from their budget. It feels like it's a cheaper product than like Jason Bourne. And it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not bad. It's definitely not a bad movie. I've seen far worse. Looking at you, Batman vs Superman. But it's not as, it's not going to hit that high mark. It's not going to get your blood pumping. It's one of those things where it's just like you're watching it, you can understand what happens, and you leave whether, you leave the theater whether you like the subject matter or not, and then that's going to determine if you, liked your movie or not, It's one of those kind of sort of things. And I don't really have a lot of negatives. Like I said, I watched it, and as I was watching it, I was comparing little things here to the books. And there was a lot of things that kind of sort of stood out that I would have changed differently, like if I was directing the movie. The main character, I don't know his real life name, so see me. I only know Michael Keaton's name because he's Michael Keaton, obviously. But the main character, he did pretty much a good job, acting-wise, I should say. The only really flaws I see with his character is when I try to compare his character to the characters in the book. In the book, Mitch Rapp was like this white guy who had something bad happen to him, and then they kind of put him in this training thing to make him part of the Orion team. And basically what that is a government sanctioned, think of it like a James Bond type thing, where you have sanction, not presidential sanctions, but beyond presidential sanctions to go out and kill terrorists. That's pretty much what it is. They go find them, they go kill them, and they stop them before they plan attacks to take out, American cities, things like that. And in the books, he's always like, he's a white guy who can blend in with Middle Eastern people because of his skin tone. He knows a few of their languages, so he can damn near blend in and be a Middle Eastern person if he wants to. By them casting the one main white guy, I don't think he looked the part. And the fact that they never showed him doing any kind of stealth in the movie. That kind of bugged me a lot. I mean, like, I know the movie's like, oh, okay, he's still in training before he hits that super high part where he's at in the books. But it's one of those things where it's like, I think they could have done it a little bit better. There were certain scenes where they were tailing people and he would just stand there and just blindly look at the person who was, who they were tailing. And that just makes them immediately stand out. They weren't doing nothing to really blend in, like if I was trying to hide in plain sight I would sit at a restaurant, make small talk with whoever I was with, try to act like a regular person would act. Imagine if somebody sat down in a restaurant and was just basically covering their eyes with their hand or just looking straight at whoever they was targeting. It's like you're going to stand out immediately from the first person who looks at you. So that was kind of not believable in that aspect. However, what was believable was the fighting and how they decided to do it. It's, I guess, tactical, I guess you can say. It's not as technical as, let's say, like a Jason Bourne movie in his prime, where you got like all the ins and outs, the combat was visceral, you saw a lot of things happen. This isn't like that. It's like, take like that and drop it down a few notches, and this is what you get, where you see a lot of hand to hand, you see a lot of knife fighting, which was cool. I like how they did the poses with the gunplay. That was pretty cool too. It felt more realistic than, let's say, like a typical action movie where they don't do no kind of poses or they don't do no kind of realistic training with guns, all that kind of sort of stuff. So I thought that was pretty good. Michael Keaton's character, he was like the best part of the movie to me. When he was training and Mitch Rapp in the forest and everything with the other people in the team, I liked that. That was reminding me of that one movie Tommy Lee Jones did with I think his name is Benicio del Toro. What's his name, Benicio del Toro? I'm thinking of I think his name is Benicio del Toro, but when I'm saying his name, I'm thinking of the guy who directed Pacific Rim, but I think that's because I know he doesn't act. I know he's just a director. I think that's Guillermo del Toro. That's who I think that is. But I think his name is Benicio del Toro. But he did a movie with Tommy Lee Jones years ago, where they were basically knife fighting in the woods, and that movie was pretty much about Tommy Lee Jones training this guy, and then he started going around killing people. And they kind of had a great knife fights in that. When Michael Keaton and Mitch Rapp were doing that in the forest and stuff, and he was training them, that whole training sequence reminded me of that other movie with Tommy Lee Jones. That was a great movie. I wish I could think of the name for it, but I'm sure you guys can go find it if you Google it. But outside of that, the movie's kind of cliche. It's the only other thing I could say is the intro beach scene where it shows the tragedy that Rapp went through. That was done pretty good. I mean, it's kind of sort of cliched, but I like how they showed him getting shot and stuff like that. That was pretty good. They had the whole nuclear bomb as a threat, and it's like in these military thriller novels, that's like the one thing you don't want to do, because that's like the most cliche thing to do. There's always going to be a nuclear threat. It's like, it's super cliche at this point. Even when I read books that have that, I just roll my eyes every time I read it, and in the movies, it's been played out since ever since they had modern day spy type movies. But I wish they'd have changed that up. I mean, I wish they'd have made it like a chemical bomb or just something else other than like a nuclear bomb, But outside of that, they did have this really cool big ass explosion at the end when the bomb went off underwater. So that was a great scene by itself. So maybe it's like, okay, well, if they changed that, then you couldn't have that. And that was pretty cool as well. Outside of that, the plot was just I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, YouTube. I mean, it's one of those things where I guess the movie's plot was so cliche, it never gets your blood pumping up, to where it's like you don't know what's gonna happen. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, they find Rapp, they put him through this training to become their badass super spy, and then the overarching plot of the movie is their previous super spy is going around trying to put this nuclear bomb together and detonate it, so Mitch Rapp and the rest of the team got to go and take him out. So it's like, it's very predictable. It's incredibly formulaic, I guess you can say. I've heard some people say online that the movie was too macho. I wouldn't call it macho, to be honest. It's not, overly manly in those stereotypes. I wouldn't say that. It's just a very formulaic plot, to the movie. You see every twist and turn coming. It's one of those movies where nothing's gonna surprise you, and maybe that's why a lot of people are calling the movie bland, or that it's just not surprising and nothing, because it definitely isn't. I'm somebody who's into watching movies like this, and it's like I saw everything coming. And I know just that the average person who may not be into the military thriller novel, or maybe not be into action movies, but if you've seen like one spy movie, Jason Bourne, what have you, insert a nuclear bomb at the end, and that's pretty much, the plot of this movie. I mean, this is something that's been done many times before, to be honest. This movie didn't really do nothing different to elevate itself, I would say. Like, when Jason Bourne came out, yeah, you had spy movies that did what he did before, but the combat is where they excelled. They showed the camera work and the fight scenes in that movie were done pretty good. And yep, sorry about that phone going off YouTube, my bad. Completely unprofessional. But and let me just put that on vibrate there. Okay. But now I gotta remember where I was talking about. Oh yeah, Jason Bourne's combat was done pretty good, and that's what kind of elevated that movie, and I guess Matt Damon's performance with being, the badass that is Jason Bourne. This movie, the main character doesn't hit that high point as a character. The movie doesn't hit that high point with its story or with the fight choreography. It's kind of like that average middle of the road type movie. Nothing ever hits that high bar. And I can understand why people, think that about the movie. I don't know how much money it's made. I know the Mitch Rapp book series has tons of books in it. So if they wanted to, they could probably make 5 or 6 or 7 sequels off of this one movie. But something tells me it didn't make a lot of money. I haven't heard nothing about the movie since it came out, and so I don't know if it flopped, but I don't think it made like millions and millions of dollars like they wanted it to. And if that's the case, we may not even get any future books or movies or that. Well, we'll still get books, but we're not going to get any future movies in this franchise if that's the case. But anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts on it. Just a quick video to bang out here because I know I haven't uploaded anything in probably about a week and a half. But I'm going to work on a couple more videos tonight, so you guys are going to be getting more videos. Probably 2 videos this week, maybe another video the following week after. And if you guys, seen the movie, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. My name is Denonu, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.